In this video, we're going to do a quick oil change. What you need is a 17mm socket, oil filter, obviously. I use factory Mazda. And then you're going to need approximately 4 quarts of 10W30. The approximate range is about 3.8 quarts. What I would recommend is filling it up to 3.5 and topping off as needed until you get within the range on the dipstick. If you don't know how to lift your Miata, I made a video just before this one that'll show you how to get it up in the air so you can do this job. So this is a completely stock 1999 Mazda Miata MX-5. It is a 10th anniversary edition, so it's in that innocent blue mica paint. It only came on this model that year. It's completely stock, so that means the oil filter is in a very bad spot for my big arms. So the oil filter is, let me get my finger in here, the oil filter is going to be underneath the intake, and there's a bunch of brackets in here because of emissions and maybe some AC lines. Yeah, there's some AC lines on that side, so it's really hard, especially for me with big hands. But let's get after it. Alright, so I go in from behind, between the AC lines and the intake manifold. Try not to bump off any of your electrical connections or anything like that. But I just try to reach in here. Yeah. If you do have big hands like me, one trick is to remove the passenger side wheel to get your hand up in there to remove the filter. Pretty good access this way. It's a lot easier than scraping your arm going up from up top. So, as you can see, maybe, used factory filter last time as well. Very easy to go from underneath than up top. Highly recommend it doing this way. I had to remove the wheels while it was jacked up in the air. You will have to use an impact doing that. You can't just use the regular wrench out of the trunk to do that. And I got a little bit of oil on the caliper. Not smart. Not on the pad though, so we're good. So pretty cool detail with these Mazda oil filters. They have a little shrink wrap on the bottom, keeps them clean. Kind of cool. A lot different than getting your typical Fram at the parts store. So what I like to do is take the old filter, put this on top so it gets that oil coating on there. And then just make sure it's smeared on a little bit. Alright, should be good to go. I'll probably put a little more oil on there, but you get the idea. Yeah, obviously you're just going to put this back on, just barely tight, so I just get it till it's snug and do about a half a turn or so. Just follow the specs that's in your owner's manual. Alright, this doesn't make for very good YouTube gold here. There's not a lot of room to show you, but here's the oil pan bolt right here. And you're going to use your 17mm, loosen it, drain all the oil. Should be roughly 4 quarts, probably a little under coming out. And then in the next little video segment, I'll tell you the torque specs for tightening. Alright, I forgot to mention that you're going to want to change out the crush washer on that drain plug, which I've been calling it a oil pan bolt. I don't know where my brain is today. But on the drain plug, you're going to want to take that crush washer off right there, put on a new one. I bought like a 10-pack of these a couple years ago and almost forgot all about it until I saw this little guy on there. So you throw that one in the bin, put your new crush washer on, and then you're going to torque this down to between 22 and 30 pound-foot of torque. Pound-feet? Pound-foot? I always say it wrong. I think that's the right way. Pounds come first. It's only 1 foot long of a torque wrench. So let's get that on. Click. Just kidding, I went and got my torque wrench. I set it at 30. There's 30. Almost forgot to show this in the video. Obviously, if you're going to go my route where I put the oil filter from underneath, you have to put your wheel back on. So you're not going to be able to torque the bolts down up in the air. So get them snug first and then let it down on the ground. Once the body weight is on the wheels, you can torque these to between 66 to 86 pound-feet of torque. So don't forget to torque these. Don't just make them tight and say that's good enough. So I'm not sure where the automatic transmission dipstick is, but since mine's a manual, I only have one dipstick, and it's on the driver's side right here. So you're going to know where that's at. Oil cap, obviously, on top of the valve cover. Alright, so I'll fill up approximately 3.5 quarts, 10W30. I kind of switch allegiances all the time. I don't have a preference for oil. I always feel that synthetic's cheap enough, that's what you should be using. Pick your poison. Glug, 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 glug. Alright, I cut through all that footage. I put about 3.5 quarts, so you gotta count backwards, so there's 1.5 left. There's 5 quarts in one of these. And then what I'm gonna do is put it on the ground, run it for a while, get that oil back in the oil filter, and then I'll measure it with dipstick, see where we're at. So at the most, you'll put 4 quarts in. That should wrap it up. If you need to know how to get your car back on the ground, check out that first video about how I lift that, and I'm gonna shoot a little footage, tell people how to get back down on the ground. Thanks a lot. Hopefully that helps some of you that haven't done this before.